Now we will continue to selection tools. Making selections is really important in Photoshop. Selections make possible to edit only a part of the image. We can, for example, adjust this part or move it to another file. Selection tools are on the top part of the Tools panel. First, we'll check the basics of selection tools. For this, we'll use the rectangular Mark You tool. With the Mark You tool, you select by dragging. The selection appears as marching ants. I can grab the selection and move it. If I want to remove the selection, I can do it in many ways. I will now show you 3. Firstly, with the selection tool, I can go to the right-click menu and select the command deselect on top of the menu. The second possibility is to click inside a selection with a selection tool. In both of these ways, you need a selection tool to be active. Third possibility is to use a keyboard command for deselecting. Ctrl D. This is one of the most useful commands. I can use this command even though I wouldn't have a selection tool active. I drag a new selection. I can add more selection to the selection by pressing on Shift. The selection tool changes to Selection Plus. By pressing Shift, I can add multiple new selections to my selection. If I need to remove parts of the selection, I'll press on Alt. This changes the selection tool to Selection Minus. Now I can take part of the selection off by dragging. I can also combine selection tools. I'll now select the next tool, Elliptical Mark You tool. I can drag a new selection or remove parts of the old selection by Alt dragging, or add ellipses to the selection by Shift dragging. So I can combine all types of selection tools by using their add and subtract commands. When I have a selection active, everything I do happens inside the selection. For example, if I use a brush, the paint only appears inside the selection. I can mirror the selection so that the areas that are not selected are selected. I can find this feature from the right-click menu, Select Inverse. You can see that the selection is inverted because there are marching ants on the selection area and on the edge of the document. If I'm zoomed in to the image, it might be hard to realize if the selection is inverted. Now if I make changes, the changes affect only the area that was not selected previously. The change could be, for example, adjustment from the image menu. I don't approve this adjustment. Making a selection is a similar action than, for example, brush strokes. So we can undo single changes on the selections. If I click on Ctrl Z, it will undo the last action. If I click on Ctrl Alt Z, I can go backwards in the selections. You can see the selections normally in the History panel. I'll go backwards in history to the moment before I did the paint blob. I paint a blob again, invert the selection, and paint new spots on the new selection. These were the basics of the selection tools. Making a selection, moving it by dragging, deselecting it with Ctrl D, adding to the selection by pressing Shift, subtracting from the selection by Alt pressing, and lastly, inverting the selection by right-clicking Select Inverse.